Have you always wondered what the redstone torch is useful for besides just putting it under a powered rail so that you can make some kind of a collection system like I've got right here? Well, today we're going to talk about all kinds of weird zanginess with the redstone torch. And, for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward device. Although, if you use it the right way, you can actually do a lot of really weird things with it. So, mm, this day and age, I would say with the observer and such, a lot of what I'm going to show you is sort of ancient knowledge that doesn't really get applied very often, but knowing about it gives you a little more versatility on things, which will help you out. And I am going to warn you, some of these things are going to be fast, flashy lights in the event that that bothers you. You have been warned, of course. But anyway, so the redstone torch, in its most base form, it gets placed somewhere and it provides you a power level of 15. So with your redstone dust, you can reach all the way up to 15 blocks away. But how you place it can determine whether or not it's going to work. So next to your redstone dust, it will work. On a block, or on the top of a block next to your redstone dust, it will not. On the side of a block next to your redstone dust, once again, it will. Underneath a block, it powers the block, which, since the block's powered and there's redstone dust on it, continues your signal. And same thing with it on the side of a block underneath, right? So in its most base form, this is basically a redstone torch, right? And there's a good bit of things that you can do with this knowledge here. As you can see, I've got some zany contraptions over here. Most of them not practical for much of anything per se, but they do kind of come in neat. So the first one I'm going to show you, and this is a kind of standard for people, you can powered rails with your redstone torch. And by doing this, any rail that's connected to a powered rail at the power source can extend out. I don't remember what it is, like 5, 10, 15 blocks, something like that. Just place a bunch down. You'll see how long it is. But a lot of people will place them underneath like this to power the block, to power the rail, and give themselves this back and forth. So if we had something, above here where we wanted to collect stuff, we could put hoppers down below this to collect our items, and when things fall on here, the hopper minecarts will pick them up and bring them wherever they need to go. So it's a good, real basic style collection system, right? And this is probably the most common use for the torch that I see in a lot of modern redstone. But that doesn't mean that that's all it can do. Okay, so one of the other features of a torch, when we set them up like this, or literally above and under each other like over there, you can see some of the torches are on and some of them are off. When you power a torch, it turns off. So this torch here is powering this block. Since this torch is on a powered block, it turns off, which means this one's not powered, so this one's on, and so on and so forth. You can take this up to sky limit. Now, what I have set up here is a repeater clock, and it's nice and slow, so we shouldn't have too much trouble with it. But you can see that I've all of a sudden got this weird little back and forth lighting effect going on my my wall here, because the torch is going back and forth and lighting things. And if I wanted to expand things out a little bit, because blocks are powered certain ways and stuff, I can actually stack this up and just doo-doo-doo, right? So, I can send this back and forth, which is, great and fantastic. I'm going to save that for the end. I accidentally invented a really derpy clock, which I love. Right, so we can do this. Now, this guy right here, basically the same thing with a different configuration. So I'm just using the observer to start everything off. Um, but it's, giving us this weird little on and off lighting effect. So depending on what you want, like this is leaving these two lit because what's powered at any given time and all of that. So we've got this. Now, I accidentally, while trying to do other things, created a derpy clock of sorts. This is a redstone burnout clock for all intents and purposes. And right now I have nothing going through the system. But let's go ahead and start filling it up. And you'll see the torch burned out. After a while, it'll reset and it'll refire again. But right now it's on the bottom and it's not powered because it got powered on and off too fast. So it'll take a while. But if we wait, and it should be right about now-ish, it should turn itself back on, I believe. No, this was totally working earlier. I also had it set up there. Okay, there we go. So this is going to give me kind of a, yeah, it was working with just the dust earlier. But the comparator's looking in here, it's seeing things, it's sending a signal out, power, unpower, all that with the block. So it's giving me weird updates that give me this clock. This is a dropper tower, so a dropper can push items into things. Kind of like a hopper, but it has to be powered, so it's a little finer control. But I'm giving myself a little redstone shower there with that. So, kind of a neat thing, I guess. Although this guy, a little bit more complicated. Uses our comparator, a repeater clock, like we've talked about, which then powers this repeater with a little bit of a delay on it into this block, which powers this block and starts our redstone torch once the system fills up to a certain point. Our comparator is currently seeing how full that is, and it's going to send our signal over here until this block gets pushed in front of this observer. Once this block gets pushed in front of this observer, this guy will see it. He'll fire off a signal, which will start our clock, which is missing a piece of dust. Okay, so it'll start our clock, which will come around. It'll send signal all the way back. This will power my block again. The observer will see this got powered, and it'll start it over and over and over again. And this, once it's primed and ready, will give us a more consistent shower. So we'll come back to that in just a moment. Now, another thing that's worth showing off. This right here. I've currently got it off because it's like, this is really, really flashy once it starts going. And you can see I kind of got one up there, which I'm not going to be setting off because, well, I've got it set up again in the Nether. I'll show you that. But this can give us a redstone torch speed clock. So this thing can just go stupid fast here. Yeah, and it gets really annoying. But basically, when they burn out, the other one takes off and all of that. If I just had it on one side, once it burns out, it's kind of just burnt. But if I let the other side do its thing, then it'll go and recycle and all of that. So, yeah, interesting use there. Or I guess the other thing. There he goes. So until that thing, oh man, my diamond shower. I can't think of a lot of practical uses for this other than some kind of showing off or a waterfall effect or something like that. That you could use in a world. You could easily hook up some kind of a hopper collection system down here, which would then backfeed into this, and you could have a never-ending cycle of wealth raining down and make yourself look just insanely rich, because you can. Otherwise, I can't think of a lot of practical uses for this design usually. This would be a purely aesthetic add-on to something else. And it'll just keep going and going and going until this guy loses enough signal that it unpowers this. Once it unpowers this, it'll actually shut the machine off. So if you, I don't know, have a despawning issue and stuff like that, eventually this system will end up failing until you reload it. So, wee. Anyway, so this guy used to be a standard for a lot of really fast clock things that people wanted. There we go. Turned off. Last click. Boom. Boom. There we go. And then if I want it back on, I'll get a few more rounds out of it. Boom, 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 boom. For a little bit of a shower. And there she turns off. Right? Kind of a clever design for a activation clock if you need something that's gonna, I don't know, pulse based off of that. But anyway, so this is another burnout clock right here. And I've got some sticky pistons with blocks to push these guys down. But this one, once again, kind of pointless. Although it's powering this, I believe, dropper. Yeah, dropper. That's annoying. To do all kinds of things. Yeah, let's just get rid of this. Although, if I replace the dropper with a dispenser, there is a potentially useful feature of this for some things. Let's see. Redstone. Dispenser. There we go. Here. And I need arrows. Yeah, why not? We'll go spectral arrows. Just because we can. Fill up. Fill up. Alright, we'll give him just a moment to fill up. And I don't know. Just because we can, why don't we throw a target block right there? I don't know if it'll even hit at this distance. I have not think with this. But you can use a dispenser instead to just rain down death and just... and actually, these can be picked up by the player. I don't think... Okay, now I have to check something. I'm 90% sure this won't work, but I don't want to... You won't pick those up, will you? No. Okay, good. So, yeah. Interesting little things you can do here. Now, for the most part, a lot of this, like I said, it's ancient, archaic technology that we have better things to make it run these days. Although, one interesting thing related to this guy, let's go over to the Nether. Okay. Now I set things up. Where are we? I set it up over here. Boom. This guy. There is one semi-practical use for this. Although there's also better ways to do this. Right now, this guy is a dispenser full of TNT. When a dispenser releases TNT, it lights it. Alright. Oh, well, it would help if I had this in the right place. Jeez, professional. Alright. Let's get that netherrack back. And there's a very good reason I did not want to do this in the overworld. Alright, boom, redstone, torch. There we go. So, we put one over here. We put one over here. They will power these blocks, which will power this redstone that I'm going to put here, which will power this block, which will turn them on and off. There we go. So if you ever had a need to dig a massive hole for some odd reason or other, well, now you know. Now you know. And it looks like this one, I've got something weird powering something else. There we go. Death from above. And that'll just keep going until this guy's empty. Let's see. Oh man, that's loud. Pummeling death from above. Let's go ahead and turn you off. Let's see if we found netherite. Oh, no, no way. Oh, that's funny. All the way down to bedrock already. Oh no, I'm burning. I'm burning. So anyway, if you want a derpy fast way to attempt to dig, and you do not care about saving your blocks, that will give you a deep hole very quickly. Although it takes a lot of TNT, which is, well, it's expensive. It is. In this case, did I actually go through a lava lake? Hold on, where's this lava source coming from? Let's get rid of some of this lava. Boop, 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 boop. And that's where I spent 20 minutes clearing out lava because I wanted to find out if there was more netherite in this creative world. Spoilers, there was not. So we're going to go ahead and skip all of that because, well, that's not why we're here, is it? Anyway, that was a quick overview of the redstone torch and some of the things it can help us do. Like I said, there's a lot of better ways to do some of this these days. Just because the observer, it kind of fixed a lot of the really hard workarounds we had to do for some things, like the diamond shower dropper tower back there and things like that. There's a way to do it with observers. Although this way actually is cheaper and just as good, in my opinion at least. Although it's easy to go a lot faster with your observers. So it kind of depends. Observers also don't burn out. But anyway, I hope you learned something. If you did, love to hear about it. Something maybe you never knew was in the game that all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, I can do a thing. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, otherwise, hey, leave them down in the section there. A like would always be appreciated. And otherwise, I hope I get to see you again next time. Bye now. Wait a minute. I lied. I forgot. This derpy clock that I love. That I. Mm, some of the principles I can think of good uses for, but the clock in and of itself, I don't know. So, anyway, interesting thing that a lot of people may not know. Cobblestone walls. And it used to be all walls. I think they did a change to it, but cobblestone walls. When you attach a block to the side of them, will create a pillared kind of wall here, different shape, than when there's nothing on it. So I can come back here. This won't do anything yet. But you can see when I attach it, it updates that bit, and it updates all of the blocks under it, right? And you can see I've got an observer down here. When the wall changes, this observer will fire into my repeater, which will then start off my redstone torch tower here. So check this out. I can't personally think of a lot of practical use for this, but it does give us an option to have, I don't know, a little bit of movement in some of our walls sometimes that a lot of things won't do. Now, if you have something that you need to power that's like really high or really low, and you don't have a lot of space to do it, but you can squeeze in little, you know, I think you need 3 by 3 little pillar or something like that. I'd have to play with the dimensions, but you can set up an observer that'll give you a quick pulse for something, so you can fire it on and off real quick if you have a need of doing that for some reason. But that just got me thinking, so I I created this derpy little cycle that, like I said, I can't think of a lot of practical use for it, but you can see that it kind of gives me this weird lighting effect here. It actually kind of feels like a ruined factory or something like that, or like maybe a starship or something like that, where like the power's flitzing out. Like that could lead to a interesting design feature of some kind. Uh, the the piston's a little bit loud, so I might need to figure out a way to do something without the piston there if I was going to do it inside a build. But I don't know. It's dumb. It's dorky. I love it. So yeah. Anyway, uh, I didn't want to forget to show you that, but bye for real this time.